Hey guys, I have a little bit of news today that is not Gamergate related, but it is culture war related. There is obviously video games is just one area where this sort of fight against cultural Marxism and cultural vandalization is going on, and unfortunately, the people who we have to oppose tend to be in positions of high authority and incredible influence. So that means that we are literally the little guy in this situation. So I got something coming out of the comic book world, and I believe that if you are involved with like this whole GamerGate 2 thing, if you're paying attention, you're not living under a rock, you know that this kind of stuff is in all aspects of our culture, and it's in our politics, and it's in our media, it's everywhere, and there's no avoiding it. It's the reality, okay? Just like I've always said, Gamergate 2 is not Gamergate in general was never about ethics in video games journalism, because it is just a small symptom of a much larger disease. So, this is actually a bit of sad news. And we should also have sympathy for our opponents, because they do find themselves in an ideological battle where they don't realize they're on the wrong side, and that sometimes this comes out in ways that we hope for, that is harmless, and they have a revelation, and there's humility followed hopefully by some self-reflection. But if that doesn't happen and they continue to double down, inevitably it results in some harm. And we have a story here from Fandom Pulse. My buddy John Delarose, friend of the channel, and I have appeared on his show, and he has appeared on mine as well. He reports on Ed Piskor, who is half of a group called Cartoonist Kayfabe, and he was essentially going into a back and forth with people on the sort of pro, what we're going to call ComicsGate side, because ComicsGate, the US might know about it. It's essentially people were sick and tired of all of the progressive propaganda, because that's what it is. It's not art, it's propaganda that people were seeing in their comic books, and in particular, because one could argue that comic books have always had their politics, but they were mostly kept in their own titles. This is sort of like an ideological invasion of the more sort of fun and lighter books, the big two, as people call it, Marvel and DC. And it was getting, it gets heated. ComicsGate got pretty heated, and so we have lots of there are different sort of people, names going in that space that may have some overlap with Gamergate 2, but often they are kind of in a way separate. But there is a relationship, like I said. This is why I'm reporting on this. So this is something we should know about, because this is kind of a consequence of the Me Too movement. And I don't like to report on drama on this channel, because I think it's a good way to like farm a lot of content. But the problem is that a lot of people are doing it already. You feel like you're being really derivative, and I don't know that it gets like the desired results. Like, what I want from this is to talk about like a larger pattern, like a larger idea, and then you'll see what I mean. As I have another video, at least one, it may be two more videos coming out today. One where I'm going to be talking about the art world, and how there was always an ideological / woke push going all the way back to the Enlightenment, and that we're not experiencing a sudden shift, but rather a gradual one that was ramped up suddenly, And the other thing I want to talk about, well, I'll get to it, but essentially, I want to talk a little bit about Herbert Marcuse, which is an important figure in this woke movement. In this woke movement, we're up against this cultural revolution. So yeah, I want to like try to give people like different kinds of tools. I don't want to. I mean, I do have strong opinions on everything that's happening, you know, with Sweet Baby Inc. and all these other consultancy firms and BlackRock and everything else. But I want to try to talk about it from like a bigger picture perspective. But this opportunity here is for me to talk about Me Too and what the impacts of Me Too have been on people, whether innocent or guilty. Definitely not the way we want things to go. We do not want to live in a world where people can be made guilty of a crime by mob rule, because that's what it does. So anyway, so I'm gonna read some of this article for you guys, and then you can give me your thoughts on this. So as we thought, the cartoonist kayfabe Ed Piskor saga had come to an end with Jim Rugg's cancellation of his partner after leaked screenshots revealed Ed Piskor poorly flirting with young female artists online. However, the story has now taken a darker turn. Ed Piskor has written a suicide note and named names in the comic industry Whisper Network as a large part of the reason for what he's aiming to do. Cartoonist Kayfabe has long been a channel that focused on comic book history and artistic skill and provided interviews of big creators. Ed Piskor and Jim Rugg ran the indie channel on behalf of the mainstream comic industry, which proved to be their inside track for companies like Marvel and Fantagraphics. On March 24th, 2024, it came out that cartoonist Kayfabe creator Ed Piskor had been sliding up into the DMs of an under 18 female artist, I think she was 16 or 17, with some questionable material where it appeared as if he was making sexualized comments to her. After Fandom Pulse brought these matters to light, the comic industry veteran deleted his social media in response. Despite what looks like a friendly community on the surface, the Cartoonist Kayfabe group is part of the overall comic industry Whisper Network, carefully gatekeeping anyone with politics outside the industry's permeated extreme leftism, or as I like to call it, just plain old leftism. Their Facebook group is known to ban people just over their identities, and recently, in an interview with Nexus, co-creator Steve Rude, Ed Piskor, and Jim Rugg encouraged discussion lambasting Mike Barron, which seemed politically motivated. Over the course of the last week, Ed Piskor has faced the local news coming to his and his father's house to question the allegations, as well as a myriad of attacks from mainstream comic creators like Alex DeCampi, culminating on Jim Rugg pulling the plug on their Cartoonist Kayfabe show and fully canceling Ed Piskor. First reported by Cyberfrog creator Ethan Van Sciver, Ed Piskor's story takes a darker turn. Ethan Van Sciver tweeted, "Not an April Fool's. Ed Piskor has written and released a suicide note claiming all of the SJWs that came after him as responsible for his fate. Listed among them are notorious SJW persons of fecal matter, Daryl Ayo, Alex DeCampi, and Ramon Villalobos. You all got your wish," Ed Piskor wrote. This is him summarizing the note. "You were waiting for something to blow out of proportion, and it was served to you on a silver platter. Ramon Villalobos, Cam de Rosario, JB Rowe, Molly Wright, congratulations. You got your pound of flesh." Ed Piskor continued, "Evan Dorkin, I hope skeletons from your closet get revealed someday." Ed Piskor's most savage statement was a swipe at Alex DeCampi, who has persistently used victim status and woke identity politics to carve out clout within the industry. With her, Alex Piskor says, "Alex DeCampi, may you continue to have zero success no matter how hard you continually leverage other people's business from your bully pulpit." The naming of names confirms stories of journalists like Penny Parker, who have continuously called out the comic industry Whisper Network over the years, and is writing a book on their toxic influence on comics in the forthcoming Generation Simone. Ethan Van Sciver then continued to report on the story, saying that an EMT was dispatched to Ed Piskor's home, and the Cartoonist Kayfabe artist has since gone missing. Fandom Pulse offers our sincere prayers to Ed Piskor and to find peace through Jesus Christ, to get the assistance he needs, not to take his life. The comic industry is not worth it. So, This is worth pointing out because on the other channel, Badger live streams, talk a lot about men ending their own life and the damage of allegations. Now, let me be clear. Ed Piskor is certainly confirmed to have flirted with a woman under the age of 18. So I'm not defending his actions. However, I think that the treatment of him by the people on his supposed side is not something that I think should result in someone ending their own life. I think that there are better ways to do it. I think that there should be repentance. There should be a look into what the actual crimes are, and there should be a way to essentially move forward. Okay, I don't want anyone taking their own life. I don't think that is the right answer, and I also think that it is an easy way for this Whisper network to essentially protect their own. So they can throw him under the bus and they can just let him go away, and then they will continue doing whatever they're doing. So it is interesting that he's calling them out, and I would like to see what comes of that at some point. But I think this is very unfortunate, and I hope that it doesn't. I don't think that anyone should be in support of more loss of life over something like this. And I want to make people aware of a wider pattern. Whisper networks are real. They were happening during Gamergate on the what we call the SJWs or the commies or the progressives. They were doing it during Gamergate. They were doing it during Atheism Plus, for those of you guys who have been on the internet long enough to remember that. I know that they did it during the Me Too movement and Time's Up, and it was all just ways for people to get money and, more importantly, power within any given industry, just getting a leg up in life by making allegations or bullying people online till they got what they wanted. And I also know this because it happened in the animation industry. Some of you may not be aware, but when the Me Too movement happened, as it was going on, I learned about a memo that went out within the animation industry from a gentleman who I like to consider my friend, who worked in the animation industry, and I had him on my show, and we talked at length about the way in which the Me Too movement was used to put women in prominent positions within various animation studios by making allegations. This is also what they did in the gaming industry. This is one of the reasons why Kim Belair is able to say, terrify them until you get what you want. Women can weaponize allegations, and they can use it to destroy the lives of people who they see as obstacles. And I think that we have to remain vigilant and only seek the truth, right? Not what's going to make us feel good. In fact, in this note that Ed Piskor sent out, he was essentially commenting that the worst of them was a woman. That's what it sounds like. And it's true. This is one of these things that people don't want to, for whatever reason, acknowledge, is that women can also be abusers. And in fact, they can be bigger abusers because we don't have a culture that is critical of women when they behave badly. So it happened in the animation industry. It's probably why the cartoons you like suck now. If you still like cartoons. It happened in the film industry. It happened in the video game industry. It is everywhere. And let's be frank, the Me Too movement is what created cancel culture, and it is a way of essentially allowing people to bully people online, censor them, and if they drive them to ending their own life, it's fine. This is what happened to Alec Haloka, who you might know. His sister runs Infinite Ammo, which is the organization that Alec Haloka ran until he took his own life because Zoe Quinn made allegations and it destroyed his life. They tried to use the same thing on Brett Kavanaugh, who is the Supreme Court Justice. They made allegations against him. They tried to use the same tactics on Donald Trump when E. Jean Carroll claimed that he did something to her that I don't think I could repeat here, with no evidence, and it was like 30 years ago, and this is what they do. And because we allow it to stand, it will continue to happen. So I hope that Ed Piskor does not do what he says he will. I think that, again, what I think about the man is irrelevant. What he did, if it's true, what he did is wrong, and there should be punishments, but we have things in place for that already. So that's how it should go. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments, and be sure to pay attention to these patterns because it's not limited to gaming, and that was the purpose of this. All right, thanks so much for coming on the show. Please like, share, subscribe, and help me get to 500 subscribers, and I will start a Discord server so that we can share stories with each other. And I'll see you all in the next one. Long live Vivian.